Hey Reefers, this is Jason with Grand Canyon Reefs, and welcome to the first video on my new channel centered around the build of my new Red Sea Reefer 425 G2 tank. Okay, well maybe this isn't exactly the new Red Sea Reefer, but this is. In today's video, we're going to dive into the equipment that is currently running my tank and what will be getting transferred over, as well as what fish will and won't be getting added into the new tank, and most importantly, what new equipment that I've bought for this new Red Sea build. If you're interested in learning more about the new Red Sea G2 tanks, want to know more about my tank setup, or just love admiring corals and fish as much as me, please leave a like and subscribe so you know when new videos are posted. And make sure you stay to the very end of the video where I show a sneak peek of my new tank setup fully stocked and share details about free frag giveaways I do. And spoiler alert, episode 2, setting up and transferring all my fish and coral into the new tank, as well as episode 3, preparing the tank for vacation 1 week after setting it up, have all been filmed and recorded and are being edited now, so there's no shortage of content to come. The tank that I chose is the new Red Sea Reefer 425 G2, which is 4 feet in length and has a 91-gallon display and 24-gallon sump, making the total system volume just a little bit over 110 gallons. These new G2 tanks have many improvements over their previous generations, including extra fortified stand, extra fortified seams, a new and improved gate valve, as well as an optional and removable filter sock section. And in a later video, I'll dive deeper into some of the reasons why I specifically chose this tank and the things that I do and don't love about it. As far as the location of the new tank, I decided to center it on this wall, as where the previous tank had been next to a door and in front of windows. So I kind of wanted this one to be more in its own space and not blocking any other entities in the house already. My current tank is being lit by a Reef Breeders Photon V2 as well as a Reef Breeders high-octane lumen bar. I've been running these lights for the past 18 months that the tank has been up and running, and I absolutely love them, the growth that they provide, and the great color and shimmer that they also have. For flow, I'm using 2 Ecotech Marine MP40s on each the left and the right side of the tank, as well as 2 Ice Cap Gyries 2Ks on the back of the tank, in addition to my return, which has a dual outlet return nozzle. Given this is Grand Canyon Reefs and I live in the great sunny state of Arizona, the tank does get rather hot in our house, so I'm running a current 1/10 chiller on this tank, as well as just an Amazon cheap clip-on fan that I have on the top of the tank, which is really great for evaporative cooling and essentially just lessens the burden that the chiller has to do. For my auto top-off, I'm currently using the Trigger Systems Triton ATO, which is a 10-gallon reservoir. It's definitely oversized for the tank, but I used to have it plumbed where it was feeding both the 100-gallon tank and a 40-gallon frag tank. So it's nice that it's oversized now for just the one tank. And I'm using the Neptune pump to pump it out and just through the back of the tank. And now, here's my sump. And yeah, I know, it's a rat's nest of cords and wires going everywhere, so I'll be making sure to make the new sump on the Red Sea a lot cleaner than this. But here's everything that's been currently run in the tank. So the water flows down through the plastic tube and through a filter sock and into the first basic section, which has a skimmer, carbon reactor, heater, and different forms of biological media like rubble rock and polyp labs, ceramic blocks, and things like that. The water then flows into the refugium section, which has a ton of different algae, cocopods, and different amphipods, and is currently being lit by a Neptune Systems grow light. After the refugium, the water then flows through a couple of sponges before it goes from the return pump to the chiller and back to the tank. And yeah, that's essentially it, and that's what's been running my tank for around the past 18 months or so. And leave a like or comment down below. Do anyone else's other animals, like their cats and dogs, get jealous when they're spending much time with the tank? Moving on to my dosing setup, everything is contained within this white cabinet that I got from IKEA, and I'm currently using 2 Red Sea Reef Dose 4s for all my dosing and a Neptune Trident for automatic testing. And I'm currently dosing the Tropic Marin balling method. And on that bottom shelf, you'll see my dosing containers with extra jugs, as well as some specimen cups for things dosed on a smaller scale, like Kato Grow and AquaPower. And you'll also see that Hawaiian Punch jug, which I'm using as my Trident waste container. And moving on to the controller board, if you're starting to see a theme of a lot of rat's nests in this tank, yeah, that's another reason why we're doing this new build, to kind of redo all these different things that I kind of put together in the moment and didn't spend a lot of time organizing necessarily the first time around. But here it is. This is essentially the control boards and the brain for my tank. Wires everywhere. But yeah, it's got everything mounted to it, from the apex to the different flow pumps to the heater controller to an iPad to be able to turn things on and off. And you can see it's so packed that some things like the ATO controller is mounted on the back wall. The extra EB8 bar is on the ground, which is definitely not fire or water safe. But yeah, that's where everything's been for the last about year or so, just controlling everything and shoved into a corner. So we'll definitely be organizing this a lot better on the new tank. For the fish and inverts, I've decided to list the livestock that I will not be transferring over and explain why. And in a future video, I'll do a much deeper dive into the fish and inverts that are going to be inside the new tank. Starting with the fish, I sadly had to say goodbye to my Coral Beauty angelfish. And while it never picked at any corals or ate any corals, I didn't want to risk it down the line with this new tank kind of being my dream build. I didn't want to have the risk of it potentially eating any corals later on. I also rehomed a green chromis because he was the solo chromis in the tank and he kind of looked out of place and alone. As far as inverts, the sand-sifting starfish and tiger couch had to find some new homes because the new tank is going to be bare bottom. I also reduced my urchins down from 3 to 2 by getting rid of a tuxedo urchin because while it was a great algae eater, it constantly stole frags that hadn't encrusted onto the rockwork yet. Yeah, it would quite literally rip frags off that were glued down. Now, while I was very sad to see all these animals go, especially the stunning Coral Beauty, I didn't want to take any chances with the angelfish years down the road, and the inverts just won't have any sand to turn over anymore. So it is what it is. And like I said earlier, I'll make a new video soon with a closer look at the fish and the corals being transferred over, but in short, the new tank will have a 1-spot foxface, a bristle-toothed tang, a mated pair of clownfish, 8 PJ cardinals, and a royal gromma. Moving on to the most exciting part, and also most expensive part, the new equipment going on the tank. So obviously the tank is new, the Reefer 425 G2, but I also got an LED light bar to add more overall coverage and spread. My current tank is 18 inches front to back, and the new Red Sea is 23 inches front to back, and I wanted to avoid any shadowing in the back from the slightly larger space, so thanks to the advice of Inappropriate Reefer and Jim from Telegram, I added the Ollie E 470nm LED bar for a really cheap price. The last piece of equipment I'll be adding is the Red Sea Reef Mat Filter Roller. This is definitely what I'm most excited for, which I know sounds bad given I just bought a new Red Sea tank, but I've been using filter socks for the past 18 or so months, and they would clog basically daily and then overflow constantly, and I didn't even consider begging permission to use and wash them in the washing machine, which left me power washing fishy, poopy fabric twice a week. So the filter roller is what I'm most looking forward to save me not only time, but also a big mess. So stay tuned when I make a new video on my thoughts and opinions on the Reef Mat, and if I would recommend switching from filter socks to a filter roller for everyone else. Well, you've now seen my current tank, as well as the new tank and new equipment that I've gotten. I guess the next logical step would be to show you the new Red Sea Reefer 425 fully set up and stocked. But you're going to have to wait to episode 2 to see it all, so like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when episode 2 gets posted in the next week or two. And be sure to go check my Instagram and give it a follow at Grand Canyon Reefs because I post a lot of great content on there as well. And if you're local to Arizona, I do free frag giveaways twice a month, so go check that out and see how to enter. As promised, since you made it this far in the video, here's a little sneak peek of the tank today, just over 3 weeks since it was set up. And if you guys have any questions for me, go ahead and leave them in the comments or shoot me them on my Instagram, and I'll be happy to respond. Thanks so much, and see you guys next video.